Well, what is going on, guys? We're watching the presidential debate live right now. Coming to you a little bit later after the debate, we'll be posting this video. Absolutely. First off, I just want to say how absolutely disgusting the moderators are. I didn't know they'd be participating in the debate on Kamala's side. I mean, if it was going to be that way, why not just let her have her aides speaking to her during the debate? I mean, it is kind of disgraceful that these two think that they can just fact check and be a part of this debate. It's kind of ridiculous. It's 3-on-1 as it seems. You can tell Donald Trump's a little bit heated in this one, which honestly has the right to be. She's trying to get under his skin. It seems to be working to a degree. He's gotten under her skin a couple of times too. We're going to talk about all of this. We're going to talk about everything we think is bullshit and everything we think went okay. We're going to try to talk about the things that both candidates did okay on. And at this point, just how shitty these moderators are, because quite honestly, it's pretty disgusting what's happening. But stick around right here on the Southern Drawl Podcast on Southern Traditions. Let's get it. Well, guys, welcome to Southern Traditions. So as this debate goes on, it is it's hard to nail down all the lies. I'm taking notes fast as I can. Donald Trump, let's start with Donald Trump. Definitely heated. He's heated. He could calm down. He needs to calm down. He would actually mop the floor with her if he would just calm down, focus on the facts, and just mop the floor with her ass. That's all you got to do, buddy. There ain't a word coming out of her mouth that ain't either fabricated or completely embellished or just an outright lie. So focus on those things, dude. Like stop letting her get under your skin with these little personal attack bullshit things she's saying. And that's really all it is. She's getting under his skin with personal attacks. And then she's trying to pretend like she's the better candidate or the better person on stage, not engaging in personal attacks. We don't need these lies, and we don't need these. Well, then quit lying. We don't need this name calling. Well, then quit suggesting shit that's not true. It's plain and simple. She says he's weak on foreign policy. Well, I think we all know Donald Trump is not weak on foreign policy. He's proven that time and again. He's proven it. There's nothing weak about Donald Trump with foreign policy. He absolutely put all these leaders in line when he was the president. We had no wars. We had no threat of wars. We had countries that respected America. We had countries that were paying America the way they should be. Joe Biden comes in and completely undoes all of that. She had to bring up some of these old debunked things, like he said it's going to be a bloodbath if he loses. He was specifically speaking about one of the Chinese leaders who had said the American car industry is going to be a bloodbath. We're going to build factories in Mexico and easily ship our Chinese cars right over the American border, and it's going to be a bloodbath for American automakers. Well, Donald Trump said if the Democrats continue to retain office, the economy is going to be a bloodbath because of China. So to stretch this to say that it's going to, the way that she's trying to imply it, that it's going to be a violent uprising, is absolutely false. She said, she brought up the fine people on both sides bullshit, which, as we all know, has been debunked multiple times. But she's just hitting old points to try to paint him. Like I said, they're negative personal attacks, and these are getting to him. They are getting to him. It's obvious. He's pissed off about it. He doesn't like it. He doesn't like it because it's outright lies. And here's another reason I think he probably doesn't like it. And probably why he's pissed off. Because when she says these things, which have absolutely been debunked, the moderators just sit there quiet and don't say nothing. But when he says things that may have been debunked, or at least the left likes to say have been debunked, even though we all have seen videos and heard sound clips and we know them to be true. Just like perfect example, he mentioned Ohio and the pets disappearing. The migrants eating the pets. Well, Ohio comes out and says, well, we've got no evidence of that. Well, I'm sure if I was the dude in charge of Springfield, Ohio, I wouldn't want that being out on the mainstream media either. I mean, that makes me look bad as a politician. So Trump had a good point there. If I was it's a good thing for the head of a city to say, right? For his own political career. No, we ain't got no evidence of that. Just a few weeks ago, we had Aurora, Colorado. We had their police force or their police, whoever's in charge of their law enforcement there, come out and say some similar shit. There's no evidence of this going on in Aurora. There's no evidence of migrants taking over a building. Well, that's not what the locals tell us. That's not what the videos tell us. That's not what's actually happening, in other words. All the videos online right now absolutely showing migrants eating pets and other animals, I think kind of speaks against what I'm always saying. And if it's not just happening in Springfield, okay, but it definitely is happening somewhere around the United States. That much we can prove from the video footage we've seen. Kind of silly to deny that that's happening. But the moderators will fact check Donald Trump on these things immediately, or fact check, false check, however you want to call it. They're chiming in, and not only are they just chiming in, they are outright arguing with Donald Trump. Is that the job of a moderator of a debate, to argue with one of the people on stage who are supposed to be debating each other, not debating the moderator? He didn't come to debate these freaking news anchors. He came to debate this presidential candidate. But yet, there's as much debate happening at times between him and the moderators as there is between him and her. She doesn't get that debate from the moderators. They don't chime in and try to argue with her. So why are they arguing with him? I think they need to do a better job. They are obviously state media, though, so they're not going to do a better job. They're doing a very good job of supporting her, which is what they were paid to do as paid puppets. These people are disgraceful. They are the fake news media. He is right to be angry at them. He is right to call them despicable, horrible people every rally that he does, because that's what they are. And these two are proving themselves to be just that. At least Dana Bash and the other dude on the other debate, they did okay. They did okay. Drew or whatever his name was. Anyway, they did somewhat decent. These moderators are disgraceful, and the fact that they are engaging in arguments with Donald Trump while they let her skate by with absolutely false statements is completely disgraceful. State media paid puppets. They should do better. What news station is this? ABC? I don't know. Whatever it is, it's disgusting. They asked him about his comments about her race, where he said she's black. I guess she's black now. She wasn't black before, but now she's black. Wow. And then he says, well, why did you feel a need to focus on her whatever? And he's like, I didn't. I didn't. I mean, quite honestly, he didn't. He was asked a question specifically about his thoughts on those matters at a conference that he was doing full of black American journalists. He was asked about this, so he chimed in on what he thought. And his ultimate response in that one was, I really don't care what she is. I heard she was this. I heard she was that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't care. Again, he says it tonight. I don't know. I don't care. I don't care about that. They want to try to paint him as being a racist. Kamala gets on the whole thing claiming he's a racist and that he divides people. Funny how her entire support base are divided up into subcategories. Blacks for Harris, men for Harris, LGBTQ for Harris, Muslims for Harris. Why are they all divided up into subcategories? Why can't they just be Americans for Harris? That's what we got on the right. It's Americans for Trump. Let's make America great again. Not make this community great again, and we're going to make that community great again. And if you supported me, it will be weak little men for Harris. Yeah, we ain't subdivided up like that. Here on the right, it's Americans for Trump. Americans for Trump. That's it. Ain't Muslims for Trump. Ain't socialists for Trump. Ain't communists for Trump. There's communists for Kamala. It's up in New York. Communist Party. Communist Party of America. Some ridiculousness. Socialists for Kamala. I mean, just all these little subdivided categories, these classes. It's a class system. Kind of reminiscent of that class system that exists in certain other countries that Kamala has ties to. I wonder why. Maybe because she was raised that way. Maybe because her dad's a Marxist and he's trained her to be this way. Maybe because her mom come from India, which is completely governed in a class system, or at least was for many, many, many years. Yeah, really disgusting on these moderators. We're going to get to Kamala Harris and some of the just outright lies. Man, there's so many. But they are just starting their closing arguments right now. So I'm going to chime back into that, and I'll catch you guys after the debate. Well, guys, we're back after the absolutely disgustingly biased debate. 3-on-1. 3-on-1. Guys, it is incredible to me that this just deplorable, just unprofessional journalism. You would think they could be unbiased if they're going to be the moderators of a debate. Just sit by, let the candidates duke it out, let them have their moments, just kind of keep things flowing. But they literally fact-checked Trump real time, even argued with him throughout the debate on multiple occasions, as if they were part of the debate themselves. They might as well have gone up there and stood next to Kamala at the podium. This is incredible. Not one time did they do this for her. It's as if, the debate kind of went like this. Donald Trump, why did you do X, Y, and Z, and why were you such a horrible president? And then he would answer, and I don't think I'm a horrible president. I did this, I did that, I did good things. And then they'd look at Kamala and say, Kamala, why did you think Donald Trump did these horrible things as president? And then she'd start answering, and it'd just be spewing of lies as fast as she could move her lips. Just lie. And not to mention, as serious as this should have been, all of her smirking and cackling at really serious issues was kind of disgusting. You could tell Donald Trump's heated in this moment. These are things he's passionate about. She just, man, it's no big deal. It's just stupid. He's lying. And then she'd lie, and they wouldn't call her on any of it. She brought up Project 2025 multiple times, which has outright been denied on many occasions. Most of the other propagandists have dropped this at this point because there's really no reason to keep bringing it up. I mean, it's a dead point by now. I mean, it's been denied to the point that Donald Trump hasn't even read these documents. He does not care about them, does not agree with them, is not on board with them. But yeah, she keeps bringing it up, and did one time did these moderators chime in and say, actually, Kamala, this has been highly disputed and debated and has been kind of viewed over as a whole as being fake and false and not affiliated with the Trump campaign? Not once. Not one time. When she mentioned the bloodbath thing, did the moderators chime in and argue with her that that was actually specifically talking about a different topic? No, they just let her tell her lies. It's incredible. I think that you would think you'd have some journalistic integrity here, but there's none. She said that he was the worst thing for the economy and that he left them with the worst economy ever, which is an absolute fabrication of the truth. We are living under the worst economy that we've ever experienced. And she wants to pretend like somehow she was better. Somehow she did good things for the country. No. Let's just take a quick look right here, and you can see the inflation numbers under Trump versus under Harris. I mean, these numbers don't even compare. The fact that she would even get up there and start talking about the economy, I would have thought that would be something she would have tried to avoid like the plague. No, let's don't get on that conversation. Lord knows me and Joe have destroyed the country on an economic standpoint. I mean, it's just incredible. Look, Trump here posted on Truth Social. I thought that was the best debate ever, especially since it was 3-on-1. Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there, sir. It was definitely 3-on-1. But here she wants to try to claim that her administration has a better economy, that they saved the economy. I keep hearing that. The Biden administration saved the economy. These leftists keep saying, she saved the economy. She mentioned multiple times that she's for guns. Now, she claimed she is for fracking, and she's for guns. She's for fracking, and she's for guns. Totally supports these things. She even went as far as to say that her and Walz both owned guns. Now, Walz may own a gun. I don't know. Come on, Kamala, you own a gun? What kind of gun you own? Why don't you tell us more about this gun? Even if she does own a gun, I don't give a shit about high-ranking politicians and law enforcement officers and people in all these little unneeded committees, organizations. I don't give a shit about those people owning guns. I give a shit about the citizens having the right, uninfringed on right to bear arms. And that's what we should all give a shit about. But no, she wants to talk about how she's got guns and she's not going to ban guns. Well, here she is in 2019.
I support buybacks, and I think that, look, we have 5 million assault weapons on the streets of America, and
you're not going to take our guns.
We have 5 million assault weapons on the streets of America.
But you support buybacks,
and
of
assault
our guns.
weapons have been designed to kill a lot of human beings quickly. They are weapons of war.
These are
and there is
made
no
up
place
terms.
for them on the
Assault
civil society.
Weapon of war.
On the streets
These are
of the
made
civil
up
society.
terms.
And it's something I'm so passionate about and so looking forward to being president to address. We've got to deal with this.
How mandatory is your gun buyback program?
It's mandatory.
Mandatory.
Second Amendment?
A Second Amendment, listen, we're going to have to do it the right way. There's no question about that. But we don't have any, we have to get these guns off the street.
Tell us more about
I have faith in the American people to know that, that we want to comply with our laws, and that I know that to be true.
Wait a minute. Tell us more about the Second Amendment that you believe in, because she did say multiple times here tonight that Trump was going to kill the economy. He has a plan to kill the economy. He's going to kill the economy, she said. Not economy, the Constitution. The Constitution. He's going to kill the Constitution. This lady does not care about the Constitution at all. In fact, during the debate with her and Joe Biden back a few years back when she was trying to take him on, she said the same thing. She said, we need to take guns away. Joe said, we do need to work on gun control and blah, blah, blah. And she said, no. She said, you need to stop thinking about what we need to work on and just start thinking about what we can and will do. And he goes, you need to start thinking about the Constitution. Joe Biden said that to Kamala because he knows damn well she does not care about the Constitution, that she will try to overstep it. She will infringe upon the rights of these Americans because the Constitution is just a piece of paper to her that's kind of in the way, and she'll just sign it all away with her pen. And she's mentioned her pen, too, in a bunch of sound bites. So for her to pretend like tonight that Donald Trump's the one against the Constitution, the danger to our constitutional rights, is absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And it's a joke, but she wants to pretend like we don't know these things. All this stuff's called, we got sound bites, we've got video, and they want to try to claim it all as lies and bullshit while she stands up here spouting nothing but lies. Let's see. She said, he asked her about, or he mentioned her meeting Putin. I don't think she's ever met Putin. I don't know if he misspoke or what, or how that was worded. I'd have to go back and see. But her response to it was to be excited or almost she touted it as a win that she's never met Putin. I don't tout that as a win. If you've never met some of these people, how are you going to deal with these people? Foreign policy is extremely important, and you talk a big game, but Putin is a strong, smart, calculating dude, and he does not give a shit about the words of weak people. He does not. Donald Trump's not weak. He's tried to pretend like he's weak on foreign policy. If there's one thing he's definitely not weak on, it's foreign policy. You don't even have the experience to speak into your strength on foreign policy, and you tout that as a win? At least if you'd spoken to Putin and met him or any of those things at any point, you'd been able to talk about your experience with that. But you can't do that, and you're trying to convince us that's a good thing? No, that's a bad thing. That is a terrible thing. She can't even speak on those topics. She praised the Afghanistan withdrawal. She praised it as if they did a great thing by pulling out of Afghanistan the way they did. Now, I'll be real with you. We all wanted to leave Afghanistan. Trump had a plan for us to leave Afghanistan. He had a plan to do it. The Congress at the time blocked a lot of his ideas and his plans for that. We look back over the history books, you'll see how that played out. And then as soon as they take office, they just snatch all of our people out of it in the most horrific and disgraceful and absolutely embarrassing way possible. Trump made a point to point out, too, that they left $85 billion worth of our military equipment there, while she stands here tonight and tries to tell the American people that she's going to build and support the strongest, most lethal military the United States has ever seen. If you cared anything about a strong military, you certainly wouldn't have armed Afghanistan with $85 billion worth of U.S. military equipment. You certainly wouldn't have done that. But you did do that. What else did you do? You did that while you got 13 of our American soldiers killed that did not have to die and shouldn't have died. Trump said a million times they should have done this at a different base, a base that we should still be in control of, Bagram Air Base. They didn't do it. They did it very stupidly, very haphazardly, very thoughtlessly, and they got people killed doing it. She tried to claim that a bunch of law enforcement died the day of the Capitol riot. That is an absolute falsehood, but yet the moderators didn't call that out. Trump made a point to point out the fact that Ashley Babbitt died at the hands of a crooked Capitol police officer, a guy that never should have done what he did, but he did. And he killed a person doing it. They didn't call her out on that lie, though. They let her tell that lie. Trump pointed out that they've never fired anybody. This administration has never fired anybody. She tried to go on and say, well, look at all these people that were from his cabinet, or from his, these were his people. And they talk about how much they don't like him. The names she pointed out were all people he fired. Of course they don't like him. They wrote books. They made money off of getting fired by Donald Trump, off of being pieces of garbage in his administration, not doing their jobs properly and losing their jobs because of it. They want to claim he's the bad guy. I was bad at my job and Donald Trump fired me. I should have had a career for life the way it's supposed to be in politics, but he fired me. And he's a bad guy and a bad president and all these things. Moderators didn't call her out on that. Trump did. He called her out. She never fires anybody, and that's why we still have the same people doing the same bad job that's led to the incredible rise in inflation, the incredibly difficult times we're dealing with. They continue to paint Donald Trump as this horrible dictator that's going to destroy the world and destroy the country and destroy everything. And yet, here he is sticking up for himself, saying he probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that she says and that they say about him. And I believe that's absolutely true. That's the hate that this man receives regularly, that's called for, that they call for, essentially call for his destruction. And then we wonder why somebody takes a pop shot at him. Well, it seems pretty obvious to me why someone would do that.
Weaponized, not me. She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy with a fake Russia investigation
we do have a lot
that went nowhere.
We have a lot to get to. Lindsay?
We have a lot to get to. We don't want to hear you talk anymore, sir. You're making valid points, and we don't want to hear that. We wanted to just bash you here, sir. Oh, this was my favorite moment. She wanted these microphones to not be muted. The Harris administration asked on multiple occasions, contacted the Trump administration asking for the microphones to not be muted. We don't want the microphones muted. We want the candidates to be able to talk. That was not supposed to be allowed, but it seemed the entire debate, her microphone, not the entire debate. There were times you could tell her mic was muted, but there were a lot of times when she was just outright speaking and her mic wasn't muted when it was his turn to speak. Why was she allowed to speak like that? Why was her mic not muted? His mic was muted, and they were slow to even turn his mic on when it was his turn to talk. Multiple occasions. He wasn't allowed to. He was having to talk, and we're hearing him echoing through the room, but his microphone was 5-6 seconds before it came on. But she's allowed to speak. Now, she was trying to speak over him at one point, and this was the reason I think they wanted those microphones to not be muted. I think if you'll think back to when she debated against Mike Pence, she had these little moments where she'd jump in there and I'm speaking now. I'm speaking. It's my turn. A woman is speaking. I think she really wanted to have one of those moments with Trump tonight, but boy, he flipped the script on her. He let her speak. He never interrupted her. Just didn't need to. She interrupted him on multiple occasions, and this was just
She gave up
one of those
at least
occasions.
12 and probably 14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out. Wait a minute. I'm talking now. If you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar?
Gotcha. Does that sound familiar? Yeah, it does sound familiar. That was the moment she was hoping to flip on him, and boy, he flipped that script, didn't he? Gotcha. Oh, man. What a just absolutely disgraceful performance by these moderators. I just can't get over that. This is just disgraceful all the way around. No journalistic integrity whatsoever. No journalistic integrity. That is the problem. Oh, I love that. Hey, exactly what I just said. Check this out. Oh, this one pretty much sums up what we just watched. You want to know what this debate was? Want to know how it went? If you missed it, I'm finna show you right here. This was the debate tonight. This is it. Sums it up. The whole thing. Let's see what other people are saying. There's a lot of polls out here. Insider paper. Who won the presidential debate? 78% said Trump. Probably because he was holding his own against 3 people. 3 people, all by himself. Yeah, he was heated. He was angry. He had every right to be. But he held his own against 3. It wasn't Kamala Harris by herself. No, like I said, it was Kamala and the moderators. He is defending himself. They are arguing with him outright during this thing. The moderators arguing with the candidate who's supposed to be debating the other candidate, not the moderator. Yeah, whoever that dude, I don't know their names and I don't care to know their names. They're irrelevant people in this world and on one of the shittiest news networks that there is. So here's a leading report. Who won the debate? 91% say Trump won. Political polls. Who won tonight's debate? 57% say Trump won. President Trump delivered a powerful America First message directly to the American people, focusing on reining in inflation and strengthening our economy, securing our border, and peace through strength. Foreign policy. Kamala Harris tried to hide from her radical record, supporting banning fracking, raising taxes, defunding the police, and opening the border. She outright lied on all of those things, by the way, when she was questioned about defunding the police. She stood over there shaking her head, saying that's not true. Donald Trump said she wants to defund the police. She's stated it. She's ran on it. She went as a politician in California. She worked to defund the police departments there when she was a DA, which we've actually reported about that here on the Southern Drawl Podcast in the past as well. But she stood there and lied about that. Moderators did not have anything to say there. Opening the border, border's wide open. She shook her head, shamefully shook her head when he stuck the border czar title to her. She doesn't want to be called the border czar. She doesn't like that title because she didn't like doing it, but she was the border czar. No, not true, not true. Yeah, it was true. Kamala, it was true. You can close your eyes and shake your head all you want, but it is absolutely true. President Trump correctly held her accountable for failed Kamalanomics, fueling inflation. She is the reason. And that's another thing that gets me. We're going to get to their closing remarks right quick here in just a minute. But fueling her inflation, her role as Joe Biden's open border czar, and her weakness on the world stage. The ABC moderators were not journalists. They surely were not journalists. They were pro-Kamala activists, paid puppets, state media, who baselessly attacked President Trump, leading to a 3-on-1 debate while allowing Kamala to lie repeatedly. President Trump won overwhelmingly and will win again on Election Day. Well, we better hope so, because we don't need any more of this state-run media bullshit, propaganda machines, absolutely lying to the American people and lying about what's going on. And we certainly don't need Kamala Harris, who is a bag of lies. We certainly don't need that. Let's take a look at the closing statements. She said, and she stated this a couple of times in the debate, but in her closing statement, she said, "We're not going back." Guys, I've told you before what "we're not going back" means. That has nothing to do with the country. That has nothing to do with the economy. That has nothing to do with America. These people don't run on America first politics. They are America last, and that is the way it's been for almost 4 years, and that's the way it will be for another 4 years if Kamala Harris were to be voted into office. "We're not going back" is her way of telling all these illegal invaders that are in our nation right now that they won't have to go back home under her leadership. They have a plan to have these people vote. They've been trying to make it happen. They've been trying to push it through, and some of the states are actually entertaining this idea. This shouldn't be allowed. It should never be allowed. They don't get to come into this country making themselves federal criminals on day one by jumping the borders. They don't get to come into this country and then participate in our elections. That is not the way this country was designed. It is not the way this country should be ran. She believes it is. She says she's going to bring down the cost of living. Well, you brought up the cost of living. How are you going to stand there and campaign on a principle that you yourself caused? You're going to on a problem you yourself caused. I'm going to bring down the cost of living. I'm going to work to bring down the cost of living and make living more affordable for the middle class and cut taxes for the middle class. She kept talking about how she was going to be so good for the middle class. Well, a lot of us worked our asses off for a long, long time just to barely edge into that bottom tier of middle class. Of what constitutes middle class, lower middle class at best is for a lot of us. And under your rule, under your 3.5 years in office, we're back to lower class. We're back to poverty level. Doesn't matter how much money we're making. Doesn't matter that we got all this education. Doesn't matter that we've worked for years to try to get raises and to improve ourselves and our situation for our families. You undid all of the work we did as Americans through hard work, through college educations, and through suffering long days and long jobs. You undid it all with your incredible inflation. You are horrible for this country. Now you're going to stand here and tell the American people you're going to bring down the cost of living. I brought it up. I'll bring it down. I guess that's what you're trying to say. Why should we believe a word of that garbage? She kept talking about women's rights and women's health rights. I don't think you give a shit about anybody's rights. So you talk about women's health rights. You're going to tell us where you're going to restore Roe v. Wade. You want to restore Roe v. Wade and those protections that it offered. Look, you can keep trying to pretend like Donald Trump's done some terrible thing for abortion rights. He has simply put abortion rights and abortion laws into the hands of the states where they should be. Every state is different, made up of different people, made up of different ideologies, made up of different values, morals, the whole 9 yards. Here in Florida, we don't like we don't like the same type of abortion rights that they support in California. We don't like it. We don't want it. Now, I'm not saying everybody. There's some people here that want it. But as a whole and a majority, we don't want it here in Florida. We vote against it. We get involved politically the way the people should be allowed to do. The power is in the hands of the people. They asked Trump, the moderators, multiple times, would you veto a bill if it came to your desk to reinstate Roe v. Wade? Would you veto that bill? And he just kept saying, that's an irrelevant question. Why are you asking me an irrelevant question? It's not going to happen. It's in the hands of the state. It's not up to me anymore. And it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be up to me, and it shouldn't be up to her. This was his response. It shouldn't be up to me, and it shouldn't be up to her. I don't have to worry about vetoing a bill for Roe v. Wade because it's in the hands of the states where it should be. Each state now has the ability to decide what's right for their communities, for their people, for their constituents, and let the people vote on the laws that get passed for abortion rights and for abortion in their states. Well, why did you said that you supported a longer abortion ban than the 6-week mark, and now you're suddenly voting on the one in Florida? That's a simple answer. The one in Florida is the one that the Florida government has presented. That is the bill that the Florida government has presented. So he's voting on it. Just like I will. Just like everybody in the state will. You're asking a voter of his own state why he chooses to support a 6-week abortion ban when that is the policy that has been laid out to be voted on by the Florida government. Why? Because that's what the Florida people have decided we're willing to talk about. We're not willing to talk about a 6 or a 5 or 6 or 7 month abortion. No, we're not willing to talk about that here. We're not going down that road. If California is, then let California do it. If New York is, let New York do it. Let their people decide. Let their people vote. But here in the state of Florida, we're going to vote on what we want in this state. That's the way it should be. Kamala's want to talk about she's going to take it back and put it back in the hands of the federal government. So essentially, you're going to take away the rights of the majority of the nation. You're going to federally mandate what you think is right instead of what we think is right here in Florida, where we actually have control of it now, thanks to, well, as you say, Donald Trump, even though he really didn't have much to do with it. Supreme Court did that. Man, it's absolutely disgusting. And she's going to focus on the people, you guys. She's going to focus on the people. This is what she said in her closing arguments. She's going to focus on the people. She ain't been focused on no people at all. No people. Except these radical groups that support her. That's it. That's who she's focused on. I will focus on the people that radically support me and help me get into office, and then I'll be done with them bitches too. I mean, let's be real, Kamala. Nothing you said tonight seemed even remotely genuine. You had moderators on your side to keep Donald Trump from completely bulldozing you. You had softball questions the entire time. She never got any tough questions. Her questions were nothing like the ones that Donald Trump was asked. She's going to tell us how she's going to focus on the people. The only people you've been focused on is all the people you've been allowing to flood into our borders, the people that you needed to fill your rallies with while you packed your buses up and paid these people to come and sit in the stands for you. Those are the people that she's focused on. So the moderators get the late-term abortion fact check completely wrong, but don't fact check Kamala Harris on brazenly lying about the very fine people hoax that's been debunked. Absolute disgrace. Yes, I said the same thing. The very fine people when she brought that up. She brought up the bloodbath comment. No fact checks there. No fact checks there. And we talk about the border. Donald Trump brought up a great point here. I'd like to see her go down to Washington, D.C. and let her sign a bill to close up the border because they have the right to do it. The president of the United States, you'll get him out of bed. You'll wake him up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Because you know he ain't staying awake much past that. If they do that, they could close the border, and we wouldn't have this border crisis. Trump made a great point, and I was so glad he did this in his closing remarks. He started it right off with, she says all these things. She says all these things. My only question, why hasn't she done it? She's been in office 3.5 years. What is she waiting for? Why hasn't she done it yet? That's a great question. You've been in office for all this time, but yet you haven't closed the border? You haven't done any of these things. All of the things that Kamala talks about doing, all of them. Everything from lowering the economy to making things more affordable, making groceries more affordable, closing the border, getting the border disaster under control. All of these things could be done right now if she truly had a desire to do them. If she truly wanted to make good on her promise to be an American first president. She's not trying to do any of these things. She's not trying to do any of these things. She could go do them right now. She is in office right now. That's the thing that just blows my mind, that nobody wants to acknowledge these, especially not these paid-for state media goons. And she tried to say that she's not trying to support transgender surgery for prisoners. That is an absolute lie. Yes, she is. Yes, she does. She passed this as a bill in California. Changed the laws to make it happen.
Tonight, Kamala Harris releasing details of her policy positions for the first time on her campaign website. A K-file investigation has uncovered, meantime, a 2019 questionnaire.
Now, she tried
and
to shake this one
questionnaire,
off.
Harris laid out some much more liberal stances, among them on immigration. So in 2019, in what K-File found, she said she would cut funding to ICE, writing, quote, "Our immigrant detention system is out of control, and I believe we must end the unfair incarceration of thousands of individuals,
never
families,
has been
and children."
for defunding the
I was
police.
one of the first senators after President Trump was elected to advocate for a decrease in funding to ICE. Well, now, of course, she's touting the Biden administration's executive order to crack down on the border. K-File's Andrew Kaczynski joins me now. Andrew, that's pretty incredible on its own when you're talking about what you found here on ICE. What else did you find?
Yeah, and this was a questionnaire that she filled out for the ACLU.
So she said tonight she did not support defunding police. She said that tonight during the debate. Called Trump a liar for saying that. She did not get fact checked on that. Moderators let her tell that lie. But here she is being fact checked by CNN of all people. I'll tell you what, I saw a thing that said earlier that hell must have frozen over because CNN is absolutely fact checking Kamala Harris on and calling her out on some things. Well, this is one of them.
ACLU. And this questionnaire is really an interesting snapshot in time of that 2019 Democratic primary. Kamala Harris was trying to get to the left of Bernie Sanders. She was trying to get to the left of Elizabeth Warren. And you really see that in a lot of these answers. And I want to walk our viewers through a little bit of what she said. Let's just take immigration and look at what she said here. She said on immigration, she made this open-ended pledge to end immigrant detention. She said she supported taxpayer-funded gender transition surgeries for detained migrants.
Lied about that tonight.
Taxpayer-funded gender transition surgeries for detained migrants.
That's right, boys and girls.
Said she supported that.
So you and me will be hardworking Americans. We're already paying for all these people to come in here illegally. We're paying for their living. We're paying for their groceries. We're paying for the gas in their vehicles. We're paying for them to have gender reassignment surgeries at our expense. Even the ones who are in prison for crimes against Americans after coming into the country illegally, committing crimes against Americans, being thrown in prison for it, prisons that we're paying for, taxpayer dollars going to support them and all their needs in this prison, according to Kamala, even their need for sex changes.
Both wrote and answered in the affirmative when she was asked this. Oh. And she said she also supported it for federal prisoners. Now, she also pledged to slash immigration detention by 50%, close all family and private facilities, and decrease funding for ICE, and then end ICE detainers with local law enforcement.
I mean, these are things that, it would be hard to think that you would come up with taxpayer funding gender transitions for detained migrants. And yet this, as you say, written and verbally. What else, did you find?
Well, let's take a look at her answer here on drugs. She got asked about, the question from the ACLU was, since drug use is better addressed as a public health issue through treatment and other programming, will you support the decriminalization at the federal level of all drug possession for personal use? And Harris answers yes. Now, what would that mean? Well, it means the federal all drug possession. That's not just marijuana, which she alluded to in her answer to this question, but it also would mean
it's federal level of all drug possession,
fentanyl, crack, cocaine, things like that. Yeah.
So she pretends that fentanyl is such a horrible thing coming over, but we've all know someone who's been affected. She said this during the debate tonight, that this is a crisis for America, but yet she supports all decriminalization at a federal level for all drugs. This lady she lies like the wind blows. I've said before, if she's laughing, she's lying. She did a shitload of laughing tonight, boys and girls. She laughed and laughed and laughed. Every time a serious issue was being spoken about, she was laughing. Trump's over on the other side, like wholeheartedly, passionately, even at times angrily, pouring out his heart and soul into why this stuff is so important and why it's so damn disgraceful that we found ourselves where we found ourselves today. And she over there smiling and laughing because she knows she's responsible for all of it. All of it. Absolutely a joke. That's how it went down. She didn't get fact checked. Here's the fact check from Snopes on the very fine people comment. No, Trump did not call neo-Nazis and white supremacists very fine people. He did not do that. That was published just this year. So yet another lie from Kamala. She just, like I said, guys, she lies like the wind blows. She tried to say that people leave Trump's rallies because they're bored. People don't leave Trump's rallies. He's got the biggest rallies that anybody's ever seen. She tries to pretend like her rallies are big. Her biggest rally was essentially a hip-hop concert. And there's lots of footage showing that she was less than 2 minutes into her speech before the masses started heading for the door, realizing that Meg was not going to be retaking the stage. Concert's over. Let's get. Who's that speaking? Oh, Harris? Who's Harris? Oh, that's the lady running for president. Nah, come on. We out. ABC News is lying. Tim Walz in Minnesota repealed a requirement to provide life-saving care to infants born alive after abortions. I'm going to say that again. Tim Walz in Minnesota repealed a requirement to provide life-saving care to infants born alive after abortion attempts. He also repealed any requirement for clinics to even record such births. Trump's not wrong. He's not lying when he says these things. These things came from somewhere. Just like the Virginia or West Virginia governor who made statements about what we do with the infant ever. Those were actual words that were said. Now, right, maybe these aren't policies that are in place. They're not, thankfully. But it just shows that the left, people on the left, not all the left, thankfully, golly, they're not all crazy. But there are people on the left that absolutely support this kind of thing. And Tim Walz, he is not standing against it. Excellent answer from Trump on former staffers endorsing Kamala. Like I said, he fired them because they made mistakes or wouldn't follow his agenda. Biden and Kamala won't fire anybody, not over Afghanistan, not over the border, not over the economy. They didn't fire anybody over the assassination attempt on Trump. We're still looking into that one. And there should be quite a lot of people fired on that one. That was a complete and utter disgraceful failure. What else here? We've got Donald Trump asked Kamala if she opposed abortion in the 8th or 9th month, and she refuses to answer. Donald Trump actually has no plan for you because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you. That's what she said about Donald Trump. He fired back with, that's just a soundbite. They gave her that to say. Oh, boy. What a good one. Anyway, so many hot button, hot topic moments here tonight. Kamala's answers are overly rehearsed. She's delivering obviously canned responses and one-liners and wedging them into unrelated questions and prompts. Yeah, I kind of thought that too. And she also didn't look like she was 100% sober, just like she didn't for the news conference or whatever it was, the sit down with Dana Bash. Her eyes are all glossy. She's squinting a lot, like she can't hardly open her eyes. I mean, stumbling over her words. Other than that, she did speak at least coherently tonight. I'll give her that. She did speak coherently for most of it, though it was all lies, very well rehearsed lies. Daily Caller has the Trump debate. Who won the Trump debate? Or who won tonight's debate, rather? Trump won 73% to 8%. Yeah, so I'm sure that this debate's going to be going to be uploaded somewhere very soon. If you haven't seen the debate, you should check it out. Everyone should see it. We need to see both of these candidates speaking. Should definitely make a point to watch that. Oh, man, I hope this isn't true. Kamala had an interesting choice of earrings for the debate against Trump tonight. Surely this one isn't true, guys. Come on. I'll let you see this. The earrings do look very similar. They're claiming that these are H1 audio earrings by Nova. Well, you know Barack wants to run the presidency from his basement. I'll just speak into a mic and I'll tell him what to do, and I'll have somebody else out there doing it all for me. I'll just sit in my basement and run the world. Come on, man. I'm going to try to believe that one's not true, because surely that's not. I mean, then again, these cheat to win Democrats, man. Do anything they can. So this person says, it wasn't a debate, really. He had substance. She won for style. She looked confident but lied a lot and came off as nasty. Trump was on the defensive, and the two moderators went after what he said and brought up old fake news as accusations. Yeah. There was a whole lot of that going on. This is a good one. And this is basically how it was right here, guys. There's the moderator carrying Kamala, trying to get her to the finish line. And Trump blocks the move. Oh, no, she's down. She's down. That was a good one. Anyway, guys, that's all I got time for tonight. I'm sure there's going to be so much more conversation about this in the next couple of days. A lot to be said for sure. Anyway, tell me in the comments below. Tell me how you feel about it. Did you watch the debate? If you do watch the debate, let us know how you feel. Be happy to chat with you guys. If you don't like something I said, hey, it's just what I observed. You can say I'm biased, and I am biased. I am. I'd like to see America come out on top. I'd like to see America first. I'd like to see communism be escorted out of our country, as well as a lot of illegal criminals that should not be here. So if I'm biased, cool. I guess I'll keep standing for America. Till next time, guys, we'll see you. Hey, check in with us on Friday. We're going to have our Freaky Friday video where we're going to be talking about ghost stories and conspiracies and all the fun stuff that I really like to talk about. These politics are, oh man, I'm getting tired of it. I can't wait till this is all over with so we can move on to more fun topics. But this stuff needs to be talked about, so we need to say what needs to be said, and we're going to do that as long as we need to. Guys, Freaky Friday coming up this Friday. Tune in then right here on the Southern Drawl Podcast on Southern Traditions. Guys, we love you. Be free. Be blessed. We will see ya. We'll see you soon.